Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. Hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are. I'm enjoying a lovely sunny day and started my day as always with a beautiful cup of tea in one of my new cups. I think I've been talking about these cups endlessly, but I went to my little shop and recycling shop and found this set of colored mugs and saucers. Aren't they cute? And anyway, I've got my tea today. I've got a tea which I wanted to share with you because it's so special and very, very interesting. We have a blogger. Her name is Sean Geithner, and she has a company called Believe Teas, and it's Believe Teas. And Sean is a great writer. She writes about teas and all kinds of interesting topics for us. But she sent me a couple of samples, and this one's cinnamon orange spice. And I've had cinnamon teas before, but honestly, nothing like this. The smell was so evocative and so wonderful. So thank you, Sean, for sending this. It's really made my day. And it comes in this cute little sachet. You don't need to brew it for very long. And it was a really lovely tea. So cinnamon spice, something to spice up the day. So a topic for today is something I am passionate about. As you probably know, over the 5 years of 60 and Me, I've talked endlessly about my travel passion. And I think that all of us have a certain degree, a desire to explore. And some people want to stay close to home, but others like to get out there and go deeper. And I'm one of those people. I really love to go deep and travel far and wide. And I have made it my mission in life to do that as much as I can. It's pretty much all I do other than my 60 and Me work. And then even then I share my travels with you. But anyway, we have many bloggers who write about travel. And one in particular, I love her stories, Joan Moran. Joan she's a really interesting writer. She writes about being 60 from all different angles. But she every year takes a trip to celebrate her birthday and goes somewhere that she says pushes her boundaries a little bit. And this year she went to Bhutan, which is, as you know, it's a country in the Himalayas. It's very remote. It's had a lot of press recently in the last couple of years because they have a kind of a built into their value system as a government, as a country, this idea of happiness. They measure it as a quality that they aspire to in their society. So they have a very interesting culture. And she went to a place, it was a Tiger's Nest monastery, and it was a climb of, I don't know how many feet, but a big climb. And it was a push for her. But she said she wasn't the oldest on the trip. There was another woman or two that were older. And it's just about that, not being satisfied with just traveling to the next town or the next country, but then going deep in the country. I know when I went on a trip with Eat Your Heart Out tours to Myanmar, Burma, last year, it was a push for me. It was a very challenging trip, part of it, and we went into some remote places, but it was so worth it, and the experience on that trip was pretty remarkable. But anyway, Joan talks about her adventures, how sleeping in tents, at 12,000 feet mountains, a Tiger's Nest, I think it was called, and listening to the monks chanting in the monastery at the top of the hill, and what it did to her as a person to actually be there in that experience, not just as a visitor, but as a local, like living close to the people. And the first thing she says, which I think is really wonderful, is that that travel can really help you to find yourself. That when you strip it right down and you're there in a situation where you feel a little exposed in a new culture, new language, I think it just gives you a different mindset about growing older and what's possible. What is possible. I think it's really, as Joan says, a great vehicle for self-examination, self-reflection and acceptance. Knowing that whatever perspective you have about your life, wherever you live in the States or Canada or United Kingdom or anywhere in France, Germany, anywhere that you are in this community, you actually have a set of, they are biases in some cases, but they're sort of lenses on the world. And when you go somewhere else, you get this perspective of diversity, and you are encouraged to look at difference and see it as a positive thing. That the way that people live their lives, you may not understand why they do something or how it matters to them to do that ritual or that thing, but you learn that it's all of value. And in their culture, that's important to them. So I think it encourages you to think differently and get rid of, as Joan says, the negative mindset about aging. I know when I went to Bali, I saw so many older women, in their 80s who were carrying beautiful pots on their heads and flowers and going to ceremonies. And they were, well over 60 and living their life with passion, and purpose. They were doing things that mattered to their culture. So she says, and I'm going to read this because I think it's really powerful from Joan. She says, aging, it allows you to learn certain things. Aging with confidence, abundant energy, and awesomeness is the way to stay fabulously attractive and to cultivate a sharp mind and keep your mind, body, and spirit strong. Now, that's a big order for a trip, isn't it? But I think in many ways, depending on how you approach it, those things are possible. You start looking at beauty in a different way. I remember when I was in Nepal many years ago, this is 30 years ago, the women were, I was on a bus and it was really funny. There were like goats on the bus and people carrying milk and in big big jugs. And the women were very poor. I mean, the villagers were poor, but they had jewelry, earrings all the way up their ears. I can remember this. And they must have had literally thousands of dollars in our money of jewels on their body, but they didn't see it that way. It wasn't like ego attached to it. It wasn't like a sign of possessiveness. It was just that's what they did, and that was their value. Their how they they made themselves beautiful from inside out. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, I think as Joan says, feel strong enough or try to be strong enough to push yourself higher. Just get rid of your negative mindset and just go. Turn the negatives into positives. Try. I have a great friend. Her name's Evelyn Hannon, and she runs a website called Journey Woman. And I love her. I love her website. I've interviewed her. You probably know about her if you're in your 60s. It's journeywoman.com. She wrote a post the other day on Facebook where it was just a kind of remembrance of a trip. She got there and the woman where she was staying had an injury and couldn't let her stay in the room she'd booked. And so it was just this post about how she turned everything around. It's okay, I can sleep on the floor. It's okay, I can go buy your food. And everything that was a negative, she turned it round. And I thought that was so mature and so beautiful and creative. So that's what Joan is saying too. Learn to do something brave. Get out of your comfort zone by finding alternatives to the negative. And the choices that you make, those are going to be the ones that will determine the quality of your life and the quality of the trips that you take. Super important. And I just remembered as I was saying about her age and pushing it up this 12,000 foot mountain. She said that there was a woman on the trip called Annie who was 92. And she was like this woman called Penny, who I met on my Rhodes Scholar trip, which I think it was her 30th or something Rhodes Scholar trip. But Annie and Penny were these older women in their 90s who were just still out there with a bit of help, getting things done and embracing challenges as much as they could, just doing the best that they could. And that was I think she says that was her 27th trip with this company, Annie. So Annie and Penny should get together and write a story, but it's a great encouragement. And I think the point here is that travel can give you so many gifts. It can give you inner peace, it can give you confidence, and it can give you community, other women on the journey. So hope that was useful, fun, enjoyable, and I really want to thank you again for being here on our 60andMe community and for the support that you give each other. I love the conversation, so let's have a dialogue. Just tell us, have you ever taken a trip that's allowed you to cultivate a sense of peace and joy? Have you ever taken a trip that's really changed your life? Leave your comments in the section below. I think we can get a lot of conversation on this one because I know a lot of you travel. So have you taken a trip ever that's really cultivated a sense of peace and happiness and changed your life? Look forward to the comments. Leave them in the section below. I'll join in too. And I hope that you've enjoyed this talk. I really, again, thank you for being here. Check out our website, 60andme.com, and let us know how you like it. And just thank you again for your support and your community. Take very good care, everybody. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye for now.